You're listening to RIAcast, a podcast of the Southwest Florida Real Estate Investment Association. RIAcast brings together a variety of real estate entrepreneurs from all over the world to share tips and ideas. The core purpose of the Southwest Florida RIA is to help members become more profitable and successful through networking, education, and empowerment. Here are your hosts, Jeff Tamarello and Michael Lyons.
I'm Jeff Tamarello. I am the director of the Southwest Florida RIA. I'm the broker owner of a company called Stillbridge Realty based in North Fort Myers, Florida, which is Southwest Florida, and the principal of Venture Investment Partners, which is an investment vehicle. We're buying and selling properties in Florida and Georgia and also holding properties. Wanted to talk about the May 2024 Lee County foreclosure report. We've been doing this data for a while. We haven't been releasing it because it really hasn't been worth the effort to prepare a report because foreclosures are essentially a non-issue. We've got a lot of weird stuff going on in the market, so it's definitely, we've been watching it more. I thought I would start releasing it out because it's a data point that needs to be considered with everything that's going on, because it's easy. The vast majority I see out there is somebody copy and pasting somebody else's work. That work was never vetted and basically overlaying their biases on it. And then if those biases align with your biases, you're changing your business model. And that may not always be the smartest thing to do. So thought some information would be good to have out there. Disclosure, this is my work done for me and shared with you. The data in this report came from multiple sources. Those sources out of the Lee County Clerk of the Court and the MLS. Here you have the mortgage-related list pendants from 2024. It's just kind of a normal distressed market. You had a peak of about 120. You had some lows under 20. Basically, the entire pandemic, we stopped. Those foreclosures that were there were list pendants. They weren't really foreclosures. They were partition suits, quiet titles, people trying to specific performance stuff, because not every list pendant is a mortgage foreclosure. We take this data and we call it down to the mortgage related list pendants. It's very important. There's a lot of HOA suits in the list pendants. Not every list pendant is a mortgage foreclosure. But when you look at the 2024, it's just a normal distressed market. People tend to have duress in their lives from time to time, and sometimes it takes a financial toll. When I see this little spike to 120, which 120 isn't anything, I think our peak in the last cycle was 2,700. Is probably these built up from there, and then they just finally said, you know what, we got to file. Here since 2015, and that's just really kind of going back a little more for perspective. If you run a linear trend line through this, it's still trending down. And then here is the last cycle for perspective of what the global financial crisis looked like in relation to where we are today. So it's just two different worlds to live in. When you look at Southwest Florida, you have from basically 2008 forward, a lot of cash sales. From 2008 to about 2010 or 11, there was probably 60 to 70% of the sales were cash. And then it started walking up. We're still in the 40s right now. So those cash sales are an underlying thing which steadies the market. You also have no income, no asset, pure speculative loans with no backing of the person behind it. As a result of this, leverage got a lot more sensible. You actually have to qualify. The vast majority of the mortgages out there are full doc. I see a lot of stated income talked about, but I don't really know anybody that's getting them. I'm sure people are. They wouldn't have the product if nobody bought it, but it's just a different market that we're in. Now here's a chart. This is from the MLS. This is Lee County, Florida, all residential pricing. Okay. Sales counts and pricing, because the dance of these two tells you all you need to know about the market. When you look at the pricing versus the sales counts, you have a clear divergence. And I said this for years. August of 2005, you could call the market, and the market was so hot that there's no way, but it was a subtle shift And you literally had till almost the end of '06 to get out. So you literally had 12, 13 months that you could get out. The most ironic trade at that point was to sell everything you own real estate wise and buy gold. Now, your family would have most likely Baker's acted you. So it's just that would have been, you'd have been laughed out of every room. But in 2010, man, you would have been brilliant. And you just turn around and take those dollars and buy the real estate back at a significantly lower price. But when I look at this, I mean, we have the same divergence starting here at the end of 21. Difference is we don't have the huge pricing drops. You've got 3 years here, and by the end of the third year, there it is. So if the pricing drop's going to happen, it's going to be through the summer and next season for this cycle to happen. If it's going to resemble the last cycle, and with that said, every cycle is different in intensity and duration. So it's really important to watch this. I'm watching what I call the forward-looking numbers. I'm watching the showing counts. That's actually an interesting metric, even though it's sort of meaningless, but it tells you there's eyeballs. And then the pending sales, and the pending sales are not terribly down in pricing. So we're looking at right now, the market's holding on, but we don't have the foreclosures as that backdrop, because you basically, in the 2006 to the 2008 frame, we went into a negative feedback loop. I mean, we made locally, we made the news cycle of talking about distressed properties. I was interviewed in them. At one point, I was even on Bloomberg TV. We had the only functioning foreclosure database back then, worked with the county, helped them with basically their own match data, which was ironic, but happy to help them. But you have, we don't have that negative feedback loop. You just got a lot of, right now, hysteria. With that said, anything can happen going forward, and every cycle is different in intensity and duration. So if you could chart them all out and they all repeated perfectly, we would all be billionaires. So that's just part of the game that we live in. But the divergence is here. The divergence is here too, but it's two totally different markets. And this slide kind of shows you why. I overlaid the foreclosures from then versus now. And as the market really got soft, foreclosures were cranking up. I mean, by the end of '07, we were 1900. That was a pretty wild time. I mean, I can't say enough for the clerk of the court at that time, Charlie Green, and his entire staff. People complained about the foreclosure timeline, but can you imagine you go from 100 a month to 2,000 a month and whatever you do, particularly if you're not, I mean, they don't really benefit off the revenue. There's not that much revenue just for the additional workload. So it was really impressive what our clerk of the court did. But when you look at it, we're just a totally different market than what we were then. My thoughts, we're currently not 2007, 2008. We could become it. We may not. We may become something totally different. Most cycles, most people have a recency bias, and they're going to spend their time focusing on the last cycle, because like me right now, I wish '08 would happen. I am financially prepared to buy a lifetime worth of cash flow and even to be able to leave it to my children. That's why, in my opinion, it probably won't happen, because I'm ready. So it's a little joke, but rarely are you prepared for an opportunity truly. Could it become that? Possibly, maybe. This time is different. Just choose your bias, because right now, until we really know, and we're not really going to know till the end of December, and really the next point after that is how the season go, because where '07 was really significant, it was the season that never happened. So traditionally, the summer months are soft. Pricing tends to be the lowest, September, August, even into October. Those are great times to pick up your property that you're going to flip in season, particularly if it's a snowbird type property, because they're not here. They're all up north, or most of them are up north. So I hope this information is useful to you. If you got any thoughts or questions, reach out to me. You can leave a comment on wherever you're watching this video. Hope to see you at our meeting soon. The next upcoming meeting is June the 19th. We're going to be exploring opportunities and overcoming challenges in Florida land wholesaling. Wholesaling Florida land is probably the most popular thing I see on the internet. There's about 85 billion people doing it, and about 84,999,000 are underfunded and, struggling. I give them credit for trying, because there is an opportunity to make money, because there's a lot of lots here and there's demand for lots here. So I understand doing it. We've got a panel of people that have been doing it at a high level for a little while. And we have an environmental firm who's going to talk about what you need to know environmentally for lots in Florida. If you have any thoughts or questions, again, reach out to us. I look forward to seeing everybody.
This concludes this edition of RIAcast. Be sure to subscribe to receive our next episode. You can also subscribe at our website, www.swflreia.com. See you at a meeting soon. Please let us know if you have a suggestion for a future episode.